Yeah. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. We've got an exciting show tonight. One I've been a little nervous about because you made me put half-naked pictures on Facebook, but they speak for themselves, and I'm super happy about where I've come in this journey, and I'm still on it. So without further ado, welcome back, Alex.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to clarify, I did not make him put half-naked photos on the internet, but
He's
I was
lying.
more than happy to organize it for him.
He made the photo.
Yes, I did. But no, dude, I'm really excited to be back. I'm really excited to talk about you. We already talked about me on a podcast episode, and I'm sure we'll chat some more. But I'm excited to hear about your experience working with me.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into all of that today because this is gonna be a jam-packed episode. I've got to fit a lot in for everybody because for those of you that haven't seen, you're gonna be 2 weeks no podcast because next week I've got to have an emergency root canal on the day that we would normally do the show. So
working out too hard.
There's only like a 2% chance that I don't have to have a root canal. So we're going to hang on. I'm hanging on to that 2% right now. But for safety precautions, I just said, you know what? We're just going to wait till I get back in town after that because I've got a work trip the week after. But without further ado, what's up, Biz? How are you doing, man?
Life is better. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy.
Biz got a little man escape. Biz got to go away and do some Biz time.
Dude, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was kinda, but my time is never my own. But I got out of Dallas for a minute, went back home. I hid in a hotel for like 3 days, did some work for this, did some work for that, and smoked a lot of cigars. I'm cool. And I went to the gym. When I was there.
I did. We talked about that last time.
Yes. I haven't stepped up to the whiskey workout, but I have been, and because of him, I've been on my shit.
There we go.
We
That's
good.
all we can ask.
Yeah. And by the way, happy birthday, brother.
Thank you
You
very
had a
much,
birthday
man.
the other day.
I did. It was yesterday, I think.
Oh, happy belated. Happy
Same birthday
belated,
as my
man.
mom. My mom turned, I'm not going to say it, she'll kill me. She's probably listening right now. But yeah,
29.
my mom had a big birthday.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I guess we'll say I'm 29 years old, which I don't love my age being out there publicly because I think when your age starts with a 2, no one necessarily takes you seriously because they assume you don't have your shit figured out. And there's elements of my life that I absolutely do not have figured out. But, professionally, I'd like to think I'm on the right track.
Well, I'm going to throw this out there. I'm 43, and you have your shit figured out, dude. And as bold as it was for me to put a picture of me and my weight loss journey on there, I want to commend you for the post you put out there like a week ago because not a lot of people will talk about mental health and put themselves out there. And this cat put out a post, man. It was like, hey, had some shit going on. Everybody thinks my life is just, Coach Alex giving you the motivation and everything else. But I have shit too. And if you have never seen a therapist, you might consider it because it's helped me a lot. Whether it's my personal life, my relationship, my business coaching, stuff like that. So I want to commend you on doing that, man, because that takes some guts to say something like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, I think it's important to, I'm in the physical wellness space, right? And physical wellness and mental wellness are so closely linked. I think it's almost, don't get me wrong.
They feed each other.
Yeah, they feed each other, and don't get me wrong, I was nervous as shit hitting the post now button. But to me, it was almost neglectful not to mention it, because when your mental health is in a really bad spot, it's really hard to work on your physical health, and vice versa as well. When your physical health sucks, it's shown that mental health is not good, and I kind of wanted to normalize it a little bit. And I think, thankfully, guys especially, right? We bottle up feelings. We talk, but we're hey, fist bumps and our version of talking issues through with buddies is making butt jokes.
Or even our wives. I know I had this conversation with my wife a couple weeks ago. It's really hard because you put your stresses and burdens on them. You don't want to do that necessarily because you want them to always feel secure and that everything's, on the up and up and it's good. But then you don't realize the damage you're doing by not talking about those things either. So
we got to also make sure that we check our egos at the door.
Yeah.
I got a little mastermind group of my boys that we do group message text, but you ever got into a situation where you feel like you're the only one going through this, and then you have a conversation and figure out somebody else is going through the same thing? Or if somebody ever told you, put all of our problems on the table, and you think you're going through the worst of everything, and when you see other people's problems, you be like, ooh, give me my shit back. I'll take my problem because you got something really going on over there. But you never know that unless you sometimes find a place or a space to express it.
100%. I think one of the healthiest things for my relationship actually was finding someone outside the marriage to just process stuff with. And like you said, not burden your other half. Not to say you should never talk about it. I don't think we're trying to say that at all.
Yeah.
But, just having someone who is professionally trained to help you work through your own stuff.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't think we talked about my childhood last podcast episode, but I was an overweight kid and I got bullied a lot. And that basically manifested itself as, I figured this out with my therapist, was it manifested as a I'm never enough complex. And working through that, and that's why I probably have my shit together as a 29-year-old, is because I work so damn hard on stuff because it's
to have your shit together.
Yeah, exactly, because of this kind of childhood thing, and you work through it, and everyone has their shit, man. But having someone be able to walk you through it and connect the dots of this happened when you were a kid, this happened in college, and that's why this is showing up. And once you've processed it and you can see it, you then get to make the decision about what you do with that information, as opposed to it just having this power over you.
Right.
I mentioned this in my post in case anyone hasn't seen it, which probably most people haven't. But therapy is coaching. I'm a huge believer in coaching in general, whether it is physical health, mental health, business health. Wealth accumulation, creation, investing.
Yeah.
Humans get in their way so much. It's really hard to succeed without someone on the other end of a phone or a Zoom or a table just saying, here's what you think is happening. This is what is actually happening.
Yeah.
Let's work with this because you can't see through your own stuff. And if we bring this circle all the way back around to your journey and weight loss and stuff, I can think of stuff right off the top of my head, and I know you'll go into it, of you thought you were doing this, which was helping you lose weight, and then I was on the other end of a Zoom call going, that thing that you think is really helping is actually doing the exact opposite.
Yeah. Let's dive into that. So let's start with, I'll give the recap. Originally, I turned Alex's program down, and he politely reminded me that he probably wasn't going to select me for his program either on the last episode. So if you missed all that, go back and check that out. It's one of our higher viewed episodes. Everybody wants to know about how I can drink whiskey and lose weight and start looking better and get in better shape. So without any further explanation, I mean, it's a pretty big show that has had a shit ton of views. So, I personally went and tried another program. I will say it because I know he won't bash anybody on here or anything like that, but I chose soda. You all hear the radio ads on whether you listen to XYZ talk radio, sports radio, or listen to music on local radio, you're going to hear their ads and stuff. I put it right there with the men's tea clinic. You're going to hear those ads, and that if you're a 43-year-old guy that is fat and out of shape and you're a little tired in the afternoon, or you're taking frequent naps and you feel like shit, you just need a little testosterone in your life. Another bad idea. I'm going to put this out there for any of y'all that want to hear this or are doing that or considering that. Don't do it. There's a reason your body gradually starts producing less testosterone in your life. And that is not the reason you feel like shit. The reason you feel like shit is because you've let your health go to shit and you're not functioning like a human being should be functioning in your age or demographic. You need to take care of you. It is not some magic shot that you go get once a week and you can still have the same habits and routines and it's going to do jack for you. It's actually probably going to cause you problems. It caused me, with a history of family heart disease, to have elevated, like, stroke level blood pressure. My heart specialist literally said, tell all your friends and you, get off this shit right now. I don't want to see you on this. If you continue to be on this, you're going to be on my table in a very short manner of time, and you're either going to be getting a valve replacement, a stent, or something else done with your heart. So this is something that you can take care of and address. And I will also say, while I'm thinking about it, that during Alex's program, and it was only about week 5, I think, I had to have the 1-year follow-up with her. Mind you, I was not doing anything really prior to engaging with Alex. I was 6 foot tall, 241 pounds, out of shape, eating like shit, eating out all the time, all those things. And with the modification I made with Alex, my blood pressure, and had been for the few weeks prior, because I started tracking it again once or twice a week, just so I could tell her, like, hey, this is where I've been. I was 120/74.
Which is like, insanely good.
Which is insanely good. Like, to the point that when I saw her, she's like, okay, you've lost some weight. Your blood pressure, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And tell me a little bit more about it. And if you keep doing this and you get any lower, we're probably either going to have to reduce some of your meds or take you off of them, because if you start dipping way below this, that is not good either. You know, like, you're in the perfect zone right now, and you're still telling me you're losing weight and plan to lose weight. So, yeah, I am all hoping right now that, like, the cholesterol pill, I'll probably never get rid of, because that's genetic. Like, that doesn't matter necessarily how good a shape you're in. I mean, it's possible, but highly unlikely I'll get off that one. But to lose the other 2 blood pressure pills, that's huge. And you know, from when we first talked, I said that was one of my number 1 goals. Because, like, my dad had his first heart attack when I was 14, died when I was 24, and my dad was only 56 when he died. I mean, so that has always been something in the back of my head, childhood trauma, you know, that, like, you know, I had a big scare too right before COVID. I was in some of the best shape I'd been, and unbeknowingly, on X day at the gym, I pulled both my lats. Oof. The next day, I didn't know I'd pull my lats. I went back in and we did chest. Well, doing that with pulled lats caused me to strain my diaphragm, strain my intercostals, something else, and then I had severe lat strain. So the next morning when I woke up and tried to get out of bed and I got to here, it took my breath away. And
that's scary.
I got myself through a shower, getting dressed, to work. By the time I got to work, I was like, this isn't getting better. This is getting worse. And I ended up driving myself to the hospital, called my wife, had a panic attack because that freaked me out, because every symptom I had was how my dad described a heart attack happening.
Oh, damn.
Because, you know, it was pulling me from both sides. So I couldn't tell if it was my back, my chest. I thought I was having a heart attack. And then I started having a panic attack on top of it.
Right. Which feels a lot like a
escalated everything, because now add adrenaline and all that to what I'm doing. And it was a really bad situation. I was in the hospital for 3 days. Good news was they ran every damn test you can imagine on my heart and told me, like, hey, you're good. You just really screwed yourself up in the gym, and no gym for like 30, 45 days. Like, you need to let your body heal. So all those things, my point of telling those stories is because I know some of you are going to relate to that, or have, or hopefully not, have one of those experiences, and you can know that, like, you can fix these things and you can do this. So
on that note, actually, I think it's quite interesting, and this is an observation of me working with people. Most people come to me after an oh shit moment. And an oh shit moment is something like you just like described. It's like an event where they look at themselves in a photo after a podcast or something and they go, oh shit, I'm fat. or they go to the doctor and they go, oh shit, I'm probably going to die if I keep this up. And I think there's something just interesting about people, right? For anyone who's a coach, they can kind of relate to this. But like, people are just weird. We're not always logical. We're really comfortable in our bubble. And as long as our situation isn't like actively
threatening our existence,
it's like, yeah, we're just happy chilling out 50 pounds overweight. Like, you know, I'm not going to die tomorrow.
That Whataburger still tastes really good. I'm not giving that up.
Exactly. And, you know, I think one of the big things that people have hang-ups on when it comes to making a change is they assume that to lose the weight, you've got to have these massive shifts out, like the diet that you were on before we started working together. It's like, because I remember I was curious and I asked you to send me over the list of eat this, don't eat this. And some of the stuff made sense, sure. Some of the stuff blew my mind. Like, I think sugar-free gum was on the do not have list. Biz is making a face, and I made the same face. But like, just weird stuff. Like, I think carrots was.
It was all like really weird stuff to keep you in such a caloric deficit.
Yeah,
like,
it was crazy.
Their principle, and like, I still think it might be good for some people that, like, if you have to have a surgery or something like that, it's just like the Atkins diet or a lot of those other things where if you need to drop a lot of weight really fast and it's not necessarily about keeping it off, it's so you can have a surgery or something like that. I think some of those may serve a purpose in a very select.
It's going to be like 2-3% of people who want to lose weight.
Like, I don't think that's for the majority of people. So yeah, I would steer clear of that stuff. And the other big reason that I didn't choose Alex originally was group. This is group training, right? Like, and I've always worked out with personal trainers and stuff like that where it was one-on-one. And I was honestly like kind of halfway scared to death that I wasn't going to get the attention I felt that I needed. I wasn't going to have the push or the drive or the motivation, that if I didn't have that other accountability partner there all the time, that I was worried I wouldn't do it.
And this is really interesting. And this is, you know, when you own a business, when you have a process, you're always implementing feedback. Based on like our whole process, I no longer describe it as, because I used to describe it as this is an individual program done in a group setting. Because basically I would run the program in groups and, you know, you get one-to-one attention, but we do it on this group timeline. And now, because that verbiage, which actually really isn't representative 100% of how the process works, I now describe it to people as it's a one-to-one coaching process, but you also have a community of other people going through it with you, which explains it, I think, way better.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, I've made friends with people that I don't even know where all they're located and stuff like that, but we all went into the group together, we went through it together, and I didn't think I'd participate a lot, that I had a lot of extra time to do that. I get on there and bullshit with these people pretty regularly. I mean, there's
a lot of conversation about barbecue as well. Like that has popped up a ton.
Food, poker.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of stuff. I mean, we make fun of each other. I mean, I think my favorite is Forrest.
Dude, Forrest he's a blast. He's so funny.
This guy Forrest is a beast. Like, at first I saw these like amazing breakfast burritos he was making every week. So I stole some meal prep ideas from him. Mm-hmm. And then this dude's like doing push-ups on job sites and all this other stuff.
He's a home inspector for reference. So he has like 2 jobs a day. And basically he was like, when he was telling me about his, you know, his on our graduation call, it's like we talk about the process. And he was like, when I first started, I could barely do push-ups from my knees. And now he's doing 120 push-ups just like over the course of the day for fun in addition to his workout. So it's just like, seeing like the mental transformation of people, you know, yours and Forrest and lots of other people as well. It's just,
Corey's done amazing.
Corey's done amazing. You know, there's lots of really cool stories kind of within the group. And I think those personalities just add to the experience, which is why I want it to be not a group, but a community, because, you know, you and I get along great and we have really productive chats in terms of coaching, but like, I can't be that bullshit person for everyone, and it's wonderful to have a group of people to share that with. And like, I like cooking steak, but I don't know jack about barbecue, but I know Dan and Ryan and Josh, and they all do. And it's like, hey, cool, like let's chat about barbecue for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it makes the process so much more than just I'm here to lose weight. It's
absolutely.
We're all here to improve ourselves, and let's have some fun while we do it. On the note of breakfast burritos and meal prep, I think, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was comparing how you did things on soda versus how you did things in whiskey weight loss. Which one felt easier, and did it feel easier than it should have based on what your thoughts were coming into the process? Like, when you came into whiskey weight loss, did you think it was going to be harder than it actually was?
Okay. Yeah. First off, before I answer that, I will answer that, like, absolutely, and that's a good transition. For those of you wondering, though, like, I want to make sure we get people's attention here and stuff like that right off the bat. So, 241 starting out. I am now floating between 218 and 221. So I have lost like 21 pounds of fat off of me. I have dropped 5 inches off of my waist. I posted the photos. Go check them out. This is 8 weeks of Alex's program. I am doing the follow-up program, and we've tweaked it and modified to some of my goals and what I'm doing and the amount of experience I have in the gym, which Alex was all about helping me do and making it work for both of us. So that also is obtainable. I lost like 5 inches in my glutes, 5 inches off my waist.
You went up in chest and biceps, right?
I went up about 1 inch in biceps. I went up almost 3 inches in chest.
Which is insane. And so when Garrett says when he lost, 21 pounds, he actually lost more than that, because when you think about the math here, right, a change in body weight is the product of how much body fat you lose and how much muscle you gain, right? Every pound of muscle gained effectively hides a pound of fat lost. So you lost 21 pounds of fat, but you also lost additional fat, which has been covered up by muscle gain. How do we know that Garrett built muscle? It's because we measured his biceps, right? We measured his chest. If your chest and biceps are growing...
We did not. My wife did. I'm giving her credit for this because this is a huge pain in the ass to, like, measure yourself. Even with the fancy thing from Amazon, that thing sucks, like, getting the little thing into the, like, holder.
Yeah.
And then if you do it without doing it, then you forget that there's a 2-inch difference because of the piece of equipment. Like, I want to give my wife some credit here because I had to wait till, like, Sunday and find times that I could make that work with her.
Yeah, and you definitely can do it by yourself. It's just...
It sucks.
It's,
It's tedious.
It's tedious, yeah. There's definitely, like, harder things to do in the world, but it's not,
tedious.
Yeah, it's tedious.
It's just kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but all that to say, you lost 21 pounds and more that we didn't see.
Yeah, because, muscle gain, you can't... There's not exact calculations for all this stuff, but... The scale doesn't lie, whether you like it or not. Like, it's still there, and I'll talk about that probably next. But to answer your question, you said what? So, soda...
How long did you last doing soda?
3 months. It was a 3-month program, and the last 2 weeks, I guarantee I didn't do as much because I was traveling. It did not work with my lifestyle. And I felt miserable, like... The only satisfaction was the fact that I lost 4 to 7 pounds a week on that. That, like, mentally, that was the only satisfaction because eating the food was miserable. So basically, you have a really small meal in the morning. They don't want you working out. They want you to walk for 30 to 45 minutes minimum a day. That way you're getting in. Because they have you in such a caloric deficit to lose the weight that if you went and expelled a bunch of energy doing a workout, you're going to be starving and you're going to eat and you're going to overeat. So they don't want you doing that. So you you have these huge calories. Like I was on like 1,200 calories a day,
which is for any geeks out there. I know Jonathan last week was on here and he was talking about his exercise science degree.
Yeah,
like if you are consistently below your metabolism or your resting metabolic rate, which is just the amount of energy your body needs to keep the lights on.
Which mine's like 2,300, I think was mine. Like my goal on when we do the chronometer is like 2,300 calories.
Yep.
I try to stay around 1,800 throughout the week because I know 2 days I'm going to have a 10% variance roughly that, goes up. It allows me to have a night where I have some drinks or I go out and eat a little differently. But for the majority of the week, I'm at or below right around 1,800
calories. Which I think that's a great number for guys generally, right? You tailor it based on size, but I think generally 1,800 to 2,000 is a good number. But if you are consistently below that resting metabolic rate, like it really messes with you. Like
you feel
physically,
like shit.
Psychologically, like you are literally not giving your body enough energy to function. So it is catabolizing itself at an amazingly high rate just to stay alive, which is why you feel like crap.
And you're not burning the storage of fat as much.
So you do both. You will definitely.
No, I think you hit a point though, because like remember I had the week where I skipped a day at the gym because I had shit come up, which was like the only day I missed completely in the 8 weeks. I missed a day, and then on a Friday night, I ended my night of my 10% night, eating a double meat cheeseburger from Whataburger and a half a thing of fries. And I lost 5 pounds that week. Like, that is like, hold up, wait, what the fuck just happened?
So this is a really fun segue to the reason why we do the tedious measurements. And this is, Garrett was alluded to this earlier, and I think it's really important to address this, but your body weight will vary day to day, week to week, and it is not always 100% representative of your progress.
No.
Because when Garrett started this process, now, he had been primed to have a mindset that if you're not losing 4 or 5 pounds a week, you're failing.
And I didn't realize how much that was ingrained in me in the 3 months that I did that, but as much background as I have in working out and training and coaching, I didn't realize until we were like 5-6 weeks in how bad that truly was, because I was good enough most weeks to not check the scale more than twice a week. And the scale will fuck with you, like mentally. Like
Facts.
I do not recommend, like, I remember when I was trying to put on weight, I'd wear like a big hoodie or something like this, and I would intentionally, like, getting out of the shower, I would do like the girl wrap with the towel so that I didn't see myself in a mirror, and I'd wait a week or two and then see the progress, just so that it wasn't like daily. Like, you can't see so much stuff on a daily basis. Same thing with the scale. Water, sodium, all these things fuck with you and move your stuff. So, like, I think I said something that you really latched on. I know you want me to say this on here. Like, don't just get hung up on the pounds. Because, like I said, I'm 2 or 3 weeks now of yo-yoing between 218 and 221. 2 or 3 weeks where typically I lose at least 2 pounds, even in Alex's program. And 1 to 2 true pounds in a week is very hard. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication to do it and do it the right way. But if you just get hung up in looking at that, and Alex does kind of fuck with you because he asks you to do all your stuff on Sunday, knowing that most likely your cheat day or your overindulgence day was Friday or Saturday, and he wants you to take progress pictures and measurements and all that stuff, that can kind of mess with you. And there's some days that I waited till Monday morning to do it, just because I knew I needed that other day, get back rehydrated, be in a little better place, sodium, water. That was just me mentally doing that. But do the measurements. The measurements are like, that would be my biggest advice early on. Don't skip out on your measurements and stuff, because you could be discouraged in that week from stepping on the scale. And like, I always did my weight first, and I think it's in that order for that reason. I did my weight first, because like, then you're like, shit, I was 222.2 last week. I'm 221.2 this week, and I killed it. How am I only down a pound? I'm like, all right, wait. Now, hey, Sarah, come help me. We start doing the measurements and stuff, and it's like, oh shit, I lost 2 inches on my waist this week, 1.5 inches in my glutes. I gained a half a pound or half an inch in my arms or my chest, one or the other, usually not both in the same week. But, you see these things and you're like, okay, now it makes sense. Like, don't just get yourself hung up and so caught up on that scale, because you need both. You need to check the
100%.
scale and then do your measurements, because I promise you, most times when the scale makes you want to like
Throw it into
the wall or out the window, the measurements are then going to go, oh shit, I did achieve something this week.
Yeah.
Like, I made progress. Like, I'm good. Like,
And one of the questions I always ask people to kind of illustrate this point, and Biz, let me ask you, if you had the choice between, and you can only have one, you can drop 10 pounds, right? The number on the scale drops by 10. Your waist doesn't change. All right? The only thing that changes is the number on the scale. Or the number stays the same on the scale, but you drop 3 inches from your waist.
Give me them inches.
Exactly, right? The inches represent something. The scale is just a number. But we have been so conditioned by advertisements, media, commercials, magazines, all of these things to where scale. And at the end of the day, the scale is literally just a number, which is great to track over 8 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, but you experienced it, right? Ups and downs. Actually,
absolutely.
I'm going to talk about Josh for a second.
Yeah.
So Josh is another one of my clients. Shout out to him if he ends up watching this. But he went to a family vacation at Disney, right? And he was on it. Josh is one of my just like really, really dialed in people. He was doing like protein bars for breakfast. He was having fruit and healthy snacks throughout the day. He'd have one kind of main meal at the end of the day and about 2 to 3 drinks. And you're at Disney, so he was doing like 15 to 20,000 steps a day. This boy was moving. And he gets back from Disney, does his measurements, does his weight, and he's like, dude, like, I'm up 3.5 pounds. I crushed it in Disney. And he was telling me this with confidence. And I can kind of, you learn to read people, and it's like, I could genuinely tell he was into it. And I was like, I don't have a good answer for you other than wait a week and see what happens. And so he did. He trusted me. He was a great client. He listened to his coach. And what happened 1 week afterwards was that everything went back to normal. He got back into routine. And, if he was here before Disney, he went up 3.5 pounds at Disney, and then he dropped 7 pounds from the mid-Disney peak. So he dropped 3.5 pounds over the course of 2 weeks, but in that 1 week, his weight dropped 7 pounds. So it's just a really clear, obvious demonstration of how body weight can just fuck your brain up if you put too much attention in it. I analogize it actually to I'm going to assume you've got some money in the stock market, investments somewhere. Like, if you look at the stock market every day and you get emotionally attached to the fact that you just lost $200, $2,000, $20,000 in a day, a week, whereas if you can just look at it with no emotional attachment and understand it's a data point on a longer journey, you're going to be making much better decisions.
Isn't, for all of you though, this isn't easy to do. Like, that's why you need a good coach like Alex though, because we had these phone calls. We had these text messages. we had these messages in the group chat
multiple times.
like multiple times, and I'm like, bro, like if the end of the week gets here, I'm gonna be really fucking pissed. And he's like, calm down, like you're putting in the work, man. Like, hey, remember last week you only went down a pound, but you lost 2 inches off your like gut. Like that's huge. And holy shit, remember the week you lost 5 pounds and you ate Whataburger, like, and you missed a workout. Like, sometimes you need a coach or somebody to remind you that, hey, like, the world isn't ending. You're still putting in the work. You're doing it. Like, you're sleeping better, right? You're feeling better, right? You have more energy, right? Like, quit just getting hung up on the scale. Like, it's going to happen. I mean, look what happened over 8 weeks. Like, not all those 8 weeks were, you know, woo, yeah, Alex.
They weren't all rosy.
You know, they weren't all rosy.
Pretty
and
sure
just
Garrett
like,
was cussing me out a couple times.
there were several times I was dog cussing Alex. Like, I was using my best British accent, like using like wanker and other words just to like vent because I was so pissed off that I was like, I killed it. I was below 1,800 calories every day this week. Like, even on my cheat day, I didn't get over 2,200. And I was like, and I lost, I'm like, I'm the same weight on Sunday. I was like, no, I'm taking this again Monday. And I'm going to take my measurements on Monday morning. I take my measurements on Monday morning. I was like, well, yeah, you did all that on Saturday night. And you had most of your alcohol on Saturday night. Like, your levels were just jacked up. Like, and yet, if I'd have just stuck to that, I'd have been super pissed off or stayed in that mindset or mind frame. But reality was, and I mean, I know I told Alex this a lot too, like, hey man, so far the scale is lying to me. Like, I can see it, you know, Biz is seeing it, like Biz is giving me compliments and saying stuff when I'm up here and taking my picture after the end of the show, asking me what I've changed, what I'm doing. My wife is saying stuff like, the eyes don't always lie either. They may be more honest than the scale is at times.
Dude, I honestly believe that, because when you have all of this external validation saying you're doing good, you're doing good, you're doing good, and I feel like that, like the scale is just like one of those old school mermaids. Just like it looks really alluring, and then you jump off the edge and then you drown. Yeah. Right. And it's just like it'll suck you in if you're not careful. And I think that's why, as Garrett said, it's like, whether you work with me or don't, you know, just find a good coach. But it's important to have someone that can interpret the data you're recording, right? Who can look at your numbers and go, yeah, dude, like, I'm not worried at all. You fucking crushed it this week. While you're over here in, you know, kind of self-pity world, just being like, the world's unfair, I'm doing the right thing.
The scale is a demon.
Why aren't I skinny yet? Like, and sometimes you just need someone else to be like, you see this, and this, you're nailing it, keep doing it, and eventually you will see the thing that right now you're hung up on. And then when you do actually see the thing you're hung up on, like, it just validates the whole process. So
absolutely.
I do want to circle back, Garrett, you know. Yeah. What would you say when it comes to nutrition specifically, right? Because, like, my program is built out in a few ways. We have nutrition stuff, we have exercise stuff, we have mindset stuff, we have education stuff. But, like, nutritionally, what would you say are the biggest lessons you've learned going through this process? And, like, don't hold back, because I want everyone to watch this podcast to, like, get the real shit.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And I think we've just dived off in some other things here off and on. But when I said soda had you in an extreme calorie loss, like, that's just not manageable. Like, even if you do it for 3 months, like, that weight came on quicker and with a vengeance. The minute I stopped doing that stuff, like, it was back so fast. Like, like, it was like, I just spent how much money and 3 months of my time, and this is all back already. Like, it was super demoralizing. It was super frustrating. Did I follow their program to a T? No. In all fairness, no, I did not. It was too hard for me to follow. And I didn't buy into all their other motivational, and because it was heavy religion based. It was.
I didn't know that.
It's a heavy religion based, and it also has like, I didn't even do their follow up program just to maintain where I was, because I was like, this is absolutely fucking miserable. Like, the biggest differences I'll say, like right out the gate, is you don't ask people to change right out the gate. Like, people are going to change on their own as they start doing things and seeing progress, and it's going to inspire you to do things differently. It's going to inspire you to make small changes that eventually turn into bigger changes. It encourages baby steps. It doesn't tell you, hey, you're never going to go through a drive-through on this program. No, it says, when you go through a drive-through, here, you think this is a smart choice. Here are some smarter choices. And some of those will honestly blow your mind. I mean, like, he gave a great one out on the first podcast, the Chick-fil-A one, that I'm not going to go over it again for saving time, but go back and listen to that. Like, you think that actually sounds like it's probably going to be your better choice, and it's not. The other one, and I've tried it, you might not even be able to finish it. Like, and it's way less calories. Like, people have to learn, and you do a good job of this. When you're losing weight, it's calories in, calories out. How many calories do you burn in a day? If you're doing the work, you got to manage your calories. You cannot out-train a shitty diet. So you have to know what your calories are. Now, there may be things that you think are healthy that are not healthy calorically. And learning those differences are very huge in your journey. I feel like my results are great for 8 weeks. I think I would have like killed this even more. And it's one of the things Alex and I talked about, was making a few adjustments so that others of you that do this program can kill it more than I did. Big one. My wife and I cook with a lot of ghee, butter, and olive oil. Both extremely heart-healthy versions. That does not mean that calorically that's healthy. So I would be in my calorie zone. I would have, I'd have gone through 700-800 calories between breakfast and lunch, and I would have roughly 1,000, let's just say 1,000 calories left for dinner, a drink, whatever. And I would like put in, and sometimes you got to make your best guess, man. Like none of these apps and stuff are perfect. No. Sometimes you got to kind of look at it and go, does this represent what I just ate? Yep, that's pretty damn close. I'm going to go with this. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to stress over this, because not everything has a barcode that you can scan that just instantly puts it in there. So, you and I end up having a talk after a while, and you're like, well, you're eating super clean. Like, you were like, what is your wife cooking with as a medium, or you or your wife? And I was like, man, mostly olive oil because it's heart healthy. And you're like, that's 120 or 140 calories per tablespoon. So if you put 2 tablespoons in the pan and then you drizzle some on top as you're cooking it, you just got 400, 500 calories roughly right there added into your healthy, heart-healthy vegetables that is still healthy, but calorically when you're trying to lose weight does not help you jack shit.
And I want to add on that, because Garrett made such a good point about differentiating between what we consider like heart healthy versus the impact of calories. So I think a lot of this heart healthy stuff comes from like the Mediterranean diet full of olive oil and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But that is often when someone is already at a healthy weight. When you're already at a healthy weight, you have a bigger calorie budget because you're not trying to be in a calorie deficit, and therefore you have more calories to play with. So if some of those calories come from olive oil, which is, high in certain types of fat, which are generally considered good for your heart, great. When you only have, depending on your size, somewhere, between 1,500, 2,000 calories, right? When you have a relatively smaller number of calories to play with, you have to be really careful in terms of making sure you get full and you get sufficient nutrition from those calories. Because if you have 4 tablespoons of olive oil, that could potentially be 20 to 35% of your daily calories. How full do you get from 4 tablespoons of olive oil? I can tell you right now, not very much.
Shit.
Whereas if you use something like a cooking spray, if all you are doing it for is to making sure stuff doesn't stick to a pan, you can use cooking spray and wipe out 500 calories. You know what you can do with that 500 calories? You can have whiskey if you want to. Or if you want to have chicken, steak, veggies, a baked potato,
portion of what you're having.
Exactly. You want a 12-ounce pork chop instead of an 8-ounce pork chop. You can do so much with 500 calories once you understand some of the intricacies of nutrition, and you can get so full, much more full off that.
Yeah.
One of the things I do, and I'll preach it to certain clients as well, like the late night munchies hit, right? This is something we've all dealt with at some point in our life. Biz is giving me the nod. And it's like,
yep.
You can get air fried chicken nuggets, all right? A serving is about 300 calories, 250 to 300 calories. It's 25 to 30 grams of protein, which is the thing that fills you up. You can get a 0 sugar barbecue sauce, which is 5 calories a tablespoon. When the late night munchies hit, you can have chicken nuggets and barbecue sauce for less than 300 calories, and it hits all of the urge of savory, slightly salty, filling, right? So you can have 300 calories of chicken nuggets or 4 tablespoons of olive oil. By the way, you net 200 calories less doing the chicken nuggets. And it's those little things, when applied consistently.
Absolutely.
When Garrett says small changes adding up to big results, that is a really good demonstration of it. Of just, okay, small tweak. Now do that for 10 years and see what happens. Because that is totally something you could do for 10 years, right? I think a lot of people, when we think about diets, we think, I could do that for 4 weeks and it'll be worth it because I lose the weight. To me, that's the wrong way of looking at it. To me, it's what small change can I make that I will enjoy or at least not unenjoy making, and can I do that for 10 years? I don't know about you, Biz or Garrett, but I'm totally cool with chicken nugs as my late night snack.
Yeah.
For the rest of time.
Yeah, I'm good with chicken nuggets.
I normally get a handful of grapes or eat a banana.
That's another one I did a lot that I'll throw out there too. Fruit, I tried not to do it a lot at night, but I would get strawberries or red grapes, and I would clean them all, bag them up in little Ziploc baggies, throw them in the freezer. And if I really had a sweet tooth or something at night, and I knew I still had the calories there to give, granted, you don't really want to have that kind of even fruit sugar that late at night, but it's better than a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I would go grab that little baggie out, man, and sit there, and you eat, a cup full of frozen grapes. It's gonna kill that.
Absolutely.
The other good one, and Jocko Wilnick, I want a sponsorship. I want to promote your shit, but I also want to have you on the podcast sometime. He's in my top list of people I want on the podcast of my famous people.
Yep.
I've shared this with the group, and yeah, dude, help yourself. I brought some treats up there tonight,
damn.
so that's a golden one there. I want to see your reaction to this later on.
All
too.
right, deal.
Jocko Wilnick, you guys know, Navy SEAL, speaker, podcaster, has his own supplement companies. He's involved in Origin, a lot of other things. And I've had so many protein shakes from you name it when I was trying to put on weight or lose weight. Most protein stuff tastes like shit. A lot of it does. A lot of it does. Jocko Mulk, man, pre-containers already mixed. I throw my creatine in it. That's what I drink after my workouts every morning. The main flavors are chocolate and banana that I go with. He just released a cookie that is a protein plant-based cookie. Man, drink one of these. Drink what I've done this at night too, or if I know I'm going out to an evening with friends and there's going to be a lot of really tempting things there that I would want to eat and maybe I want to eat less of, I will slam one of those protein shakes and eat a Jocko cookie, chocolate chip cookie with a banana shake. It's like 350 calories, like 50 or 60 grams of protein. I promise you're going to be really full. Your sweet tooth's going to be covered, and you're going to go there. And yeah, you may graze a little bit and like, you know, a little bit, but you're not going to kill your diet.
And I want to expand on that point, because like I always joke, right, when we were all in college and shoot, maybe as adults, like we would pregame the bar, right? You don't have any money, so you drink beforehand, so you spend less money there. We pull that same analogy for weight loss, right? If you are hungry going into a tempting environment where there is pizza, where there are cookies, where there's...
Oh my God, don't say the pizza word again. It's been 8 weeks, bro. Don't do that to me again.
Fair,
it's
all right,
my one weakness.
I won't. Yours and mine both, actually. But if you go into a tempting environment hungry and you try and muscle through it, one of two things will happen. You will either be miserable or you will overeat. That is pretty much it, because you're going to be looking at all of this food going, I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it. And either you then go home and you're sad, or you eat it and then you get the post-binge guilt sets in. It's like, damn, I screwed up my diet. Why the hell am I even doing this? So what you do is you pre-eat. You do something high in protein, low in calories, just like Garrett said. Shakes work well, bars work well, cookies work well, assuming they fit certain kind of like protein calorie ratios that we talk about. But what it does is it allows you to go into that tempting environment without being hungry, right? You are being proactive instead of reactive. And this is something we talk about in the program as well, where it's like, you always want to be thinking ahead and planning. It's like, okay, if I know I'm going to be around tempting food, how do I make that food less tempting? How do I think with my logical brain and not my, oh shit, I'm hungry brain? You do that by going into a tempting environment already full. So you're not like, you could graze, and you absolutely can, but what you'll do is you'll stop at, you know, 1 or 2 instead of clearing the platter.
You'll have one piece of pizza versus having 4 pieces of pizza.
Correct. And that one piece of pizza, sorry, I just bashed the mic. That one piece of pizza plus the shake plus the protein bar or cookie or whatever, that's basically your dinner at that point. And when you break down the calories and the macros, you actually had a decent meal.
Yeah, you didn't kill it.
That. You didn't ruin a day. You can do that, and that I think is one of the... I don't know.
But that's what you do. That's what your program allows people to do. Like, you're not changing your life to where you're meal prepping 100% of the time and you're never going out to eat. You're never going through drive-thrus. Life just isn't happening, you know, and you're in this perfect little bubble and you're staying in your macros every day. And, you know, you have $1 million in trifectas, you know, sending your meals all day long and you're hitting the gym twice a day. Like, that shit doesn't happen. And if it does, you're probably going to be a bodybuilder or something.
Or you're
crazy.
a Hollywood A-lister.
Yeah, like, and you have just ungodly amounts of money. Like, you can't do that shit. Like, the big thing with Alex's program is like, you're making small, viable, doable tweaks. Effectively, and he's teaching you methods, and he's created great books and letters and apps that send you information and documents and PDFs that, like, you know, he just did one for all of us that was like, he picked the top 10 or 12 fast food places and said, here are the top like 10 things or whatever at each one of these places. Like, I'm going to give 2 examples here before I forget that I think is important to get to. So like early on, I remember I was trying, like, cause he didn't give you a whole lot at the beginning. It was more just getting you back into the routine, giving you a little bit, making sure you're doing your checklist, kind of just easing you back in. And one day I remember me and my wife were like, all right, let's just order Jersey Mike's tonight. And I ordered Jersey Mike's. I ordered the tuna salad with just veggies. And I was like, yo, that's pretty solid. Like, that's
what
not
kind
bad.
of bread, though? Did you have it?
Yeah, I had it with the bread, like just normal meal, man. I mean, like, I had calories to give for dinner. Like, it wasn't killing it, like, you know, but I want to say when I talked to Alex about that in my call the next week, Alex was like, hey, that wasn't a bad choice, but if you made your tuna salad, that would have been better because you could have controlled it with like light mayo, yada, yada, yada. And he was like, but let me look real quick and tell you all the things you could have had that maybe you would tell me taste better or you think would be more fulfilling and that you would have chosen otherwise if I told you that you would have intaked less calories. And, I'll never forget this. You know what my other choice was, Biz? I could have ate a Philly cheese chicken sub, like the full-size one, with all the veggies and all the shit on it, and saved like 350 calories over the tuna salad or tuna fish with veggies.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but I would have way rather have ate that chicken and cheese Philly sub than a damn tuna fish sub.
And that's just a great example of you don't know what you don't know. And not everyone checks the menu of every place, right?
No.
So, one of the things we should.
Not all of them have great stuff online though to tell you either.
To let you know,
some are better than others for sure.
So one of the things if you take anything from this, it's look at labels, look at menus, and actually examine the calories on stuff. But a lot of what I do for clients is take all of that information and just, pun intended, distill it down into something very easy to use. So the fast food resource that Garrett kind of alluded to earlier, I just went through I think it was 10, maybe 11, most requested fast food restaurants from a poll I did inside the group.
Yeah, it was Chipotle, Whataburger,
Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell.
Yeah, all the big staples y'all can think of. So this isn't just picking out, I just want to make sure this is clear. Yeah. This isn't picking out healthy sounding fast food. And honestly, this isn't just Subway and
Dude, I tried to do Panera Bread.
Yeah.
So Panera Bread is really challenging because not much of their stuff has a lot of protein in. And the way I rank a lot of food is by comparing their calorie to protein ratio. Basically, how filling is this food going to be for the calories? Stuff like Panera Bread that maybe has a healthier kind of connotation to it, often there's just a lot of olive oil, stuff like that thrown in there. And fancy bread, which people assume to be healthier, it's just not the case. So, dude, I would take Chick-fil-A over Panera Bread for a drive-thru every single time. I would take Panda Express over...
I did it today, dude. I had to go by North Park Mall today to get a couple shirts for this trade show I'm about to be at the rest of the week. And I went into La Madeleine.
Yep.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm so I went to the app, and I was tuna fish croissant or something like that. And I was fuck me, that's 900 calories.
Dude, it can be bad sometimes.
And I was looking at that, and I'm after I did that, I was just you know what? Nah, I'm going to scratch this. I was I went and hit the other store, went home, and instead I ate one of those packages of prosciutto, cheese, and little bagel sticks,
and
things. It was 200 and something calories with a good amount of protein, and I was that's totally gonna get me to dinner tonight when I get home. That's perfect versus eating something that sounded healthy at La Madeleine. Even some of their breakfast, I was everything was 700 plus calories. Mm-hmm. The protein mix wasn't very great. It was okay, but I just had to make a decision, stand in line, and I'm trying to bounce between Chronometer and their website, and I'm it's not worth it. I know I'm gonna have some drinks tonight. I'd rather keep it down. I've got a trade show to work. I know I'm gonna be drinking this week. No, today's the day. I'd rather keep my calories down, and I did that. And
it wasn't hard.
No. Once you know how to make adjustments and you see I could have this or I could have that. Once you kind of get to a point, and we talked about that, like that I thought, and I think you've made changes for the new program to where people get a lot of that information earlier on.
Yeah.
Just so that they're making better decisions, because that'll help encourage them through the process, which I think is really cool and crucial. But like once you start learning some of these things, it's like you can make a choice. Like I could have this or I could have that. Like I just said with the sandwich earlier. Another one that was really kicking my ass early on was I went to, I want to say Marketplace and or HEB. Mm-hmm. I bought a bunch of protein bars to put at my office mainly, or in my briefcase or in my truck, so that I had these things in a time of need to have. And I remember in like week 3 or 4, and you were seeing my log and reviewing it, and we had one of our calls, and you're like, bro, I know you bought a lot of these apparently because you're eating them regularly, and they must taste really good, but these like ratios are not like helping you a lot. Like this might be a sticking point for you. Like, yeah, that keto crisp or keto this or vegan that or whatever you want to call it bar. And it's hard because sometimes you find them and they appear to be healthy. They look healthy. And maybe even calorically, it looks like it's okay. It's probably not. Like, and he teaches you this in the program, the ratio of calories to protein and carbohydrates and stuff like that you want to stay in, you need to take that into consideration. And I told him, like, just like the fast food list, there needs to be a protein bar list of people that have done this and weed out the ones that taste like shit, because there's a lot of them that are horrible.
There's some bad ones.
So get the good ones. Let's create a list of the good ones that taste good to most people, and that 3 out of 5 on the list that you try, you're going to be like, okay, that's totally doable. That was good. That oatmeal raisin one's better than this chocolate chip one, or this chocolate chip one's better than this, Oreo cookie cream one. Whatever they are, because they have every flavor known to man.
It's insane, and some of them are great, some of them are terrible. Like, and the brand that I really like for protein bars, I love 2 of their flavors. I'm okay with another 2, and the rest of them are dog shit.
Yeah,
and it's just like sometimes you gotta try.
I'll promote Quest. I think Quest ones are really good.
Quest does great. The brand I like is Pure Protein, just because I can get them in big packs, like Walmart or on Amazon and stuff. But yeah, like I remember specifically that conversation. You were grabbing these protein bars.
These Keto Crisp, they're literally like,
they're so small.
They're like this big, but they're chocolate chip or oatmeal. I think oatmeal. One's oatmeal, one's chocolate chip. They're literally like this big. They totally do the trick when you need them in a crunch. But they're literally
like 250 calories.
250 calories, and they're like 11 or 13 grams of protein.
Which is not great. For reference, and I don't mind sharing this, we're looking to try and get, for every 100 calories, somewhere between 8 to 10 grams of protein or more. Right? And with something like a protein bar where it's really easy to hit that 10 grams per calories thing, like when we were going through your food diary, it was just like, this is really low hanging fruit. Like you swap this protein bar for that protein bar and you're adding 10 to 20 grams of protein a day off of that, but also losing 100 calories. And if you want the secret to losing weight and not hating your life while you do it, is to get your protein higher. Your fiber higher. You can do it, okay. And keeping your calories lower where you can. Like, it's, I don't know. To me, maybe I've been in like this space long enough. To me, it doesn't seem too complicated. But then I think people get so misled by all of this outside media that just goes...
Or the fact that it says it's healthy.
Dude, there's one that cracks me up. It's Costco, and I think it's called the Perfect Bar. And it doesn't hit the ratios that I like from a protein bar. And I'm like, that's fair. How is the average person going to know that the Perfect Bar is actually not that great.
I mean,
for
we
weight
talked
loss.
about it. I found a book in my grandma's house. It's the ice cream diet.
Yeah, dude.
I still want to read that. I mean, I might try that after all this. Like when I have some more calories to burn, see how much weight I can lose just eating ice cream. I mean, that sounds pretty amazing.
As a professional, I cannot recommend that you do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I say that totally kidding. I just think it's funny to have that book on my shelf, and when certain people come over, I'm like, hey, check this out. You want to read this book?
Yep. For someone, just to mess with someone, for someone who has not followed your journey at all, just when they ask how you lost weight, just present them with the pink ice cream diet book and just say it was.
You know what? That's a fair thing, and that's a good little segment there too. Like a lot of people have asked me, and people have started noticing that I'm dropping weight. You know, like they ask questions and stuff like that. And, you know, it is fun to mess with some people and tell them crazy ass things, but. I mean, I'm super supportive. I was actually going to wear, he gave me a dope ass, like, and if you do good in the program, like, he has dope ass t-shirts. Y'all know I'm a big t-shirt fan. I support Cigars and Guns and a lot of other t-shirts from cigar brands that I really like and stuff like that. I love supporting the things that I'm passionate about. I just happened to have worn it already. I wore it to the gym, and it just wasn't washed, or I would have been wearing it. So right. It's just like this, only it's a T-shirt, and it's blasted like a billboard across here. It's awesome. I get looks in the gym all the time. The trainers just roll their eyes walking by me like, really, bro? You're wearing the whiskey weight loss shirt in here? And I'm like, I love it when people come up and ask me about it because it's, you know, I think it's a great marketing thing you've done here because you found a way to tell people, and I truly believe this. It's not a pull a mask or pull a little
wool over the eyes,
pull
right?
wool over the eyes. Like, you know, you're not trying to be shady or sneaky, but you're sending a message that, hey, you can still enjoy the things in life that you enjoy in moderation, but you need to learn these other things to be successful at what you're trying to do. Absolutely. And to get yourself back on track and get yourself to a place where you can enjoy things more and you have a higher calorie budget. You can go eat a whole large pizza if you really want to and it not absolutely kill you.
Yeah, like, and for that's a great segue as well because like I have this joke with my wife that if we go out for pizza, I'm eating the whole pizza. Like you learn your own behavioral tendencies.
I would for sure.
Yeah, and it's
for
like,
sure.
All right, if there's a whole pizza, like I make adjustments earlier in the day. I make sure to work out that day. I try to make sure the next day is a good day. But like, if I go to a restaurant and there's a whole pizza set in front of me, like. It's an empty plate by the time I leave.
I'm going to eat the whole damn thing.
And you know what? There's zero guilt attached. Because, you know, as someone who likes to think that they practice what they preach, it's like you make the right adjustments. And, like, I'm not trying to lose weight. Like, I'm like 185, right? At 6'1" and 185, like, there's not a whole lot left of me to lose. So, like you said, once you hit that point where you're happy, you actually have a few more calories to play with. You have that freedom
to maintain.
And you can have a great time maintaining. Yeah. Like, you get on the other end of a weight loss journey.
And you go up 5 pounds, it's not the end of the world. You know what to do to get back to it. You know what you did and what you have to cut out. Like, staying in that healthy realm is something everybody needs to learn and to just get themselves back. So I think a lot of people are afraid of the journey. I was afraid of it because of group stuff. The group thing's been awesome. Like, it's not group in the way, and he already went over that, so, I mean, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but, I mean, give something like that a shot. Like, you have nothing to lose. Like, I can't tell you, like, I don't snore as much. I mean, I'm sleeping better. My sleep ratings are through the roof. You know, I have all these things that track me now, whether it's my bed or my phone or I got the Oura Ring. Nice. I'm really digging this. That is one thing I will recommend to people. This is an expense that one way or the other, I mean, you can do it the laborious way that I did for the first 6 weeks of the program, or take this to account when you decide to go on this journey. Whether it's a watch, a Fitbit, an Oura Ring. I'm a fan of the Oura Ring. I like it. It doesn't interfere with my day-to-day life. It's really easy to wear. yeah, it does scratch up and stuff when you're banging weights and stuff like that. But I mean, do you really care what the bottom of your ring looks like? I mean, you shouldn't. If you do, that's on you. But, you know, find something, because now that phones have gotten so damn big, putting this bastard in your pocket while you are running or jogging or walking, like, it's miserable. Like, and it's really annoying, especially when you're on a treadmill for 45 minutes or an hour.
I want to jump in real
really
quick for context. So one of the things we do inside the program is tracking steps. And what Garrett's alluding to is that you can track it. Like I wear a Fitbit all the time. Some people don't like wearing a Fitbit, or they wear a traditional watch. So your other options are something like an Oura Ring, or you can keep your phone in your pocket, and that will track your steps to a degree. One of the reasons that we track steps, and this is, you know, pulling the curtain back a little bit, so I think it's illuminating, is that, you know, nutrition is a huge part to help you lose weight. The other big part of it is your activity, right? So going from something like doing 2,000 steps a day to 5,000, which is not hard, by the way. It is not uber challenging to hit 5,000 steps a day, which I set as like the absolute floor for people that I work with. You know, if you hit 7.5, 10,000, great. You know, we're popping champagne and having fun. But if you can hit 5, that kind of stops your activity from being a barrier, because how much you move really does contribute to how many calories you have to play with on the nutrition side of things. And if you're burning 200 to 300 extra calories a day from moving, guess what? That's 200 to 300 extra calories that you can have in chicken nuggets and sugar-free barbecue sauce.
So he's either a Jedi Master, or he played Jedi mind tricks on me, or it was because I was such a pain in the ass. I'm going to go with it's because I was a pain in the ass.
We'll go with all three.
And that's probably absolutely accurate. I know I'm not, or have been, the easiest client for him to deal with. I recognize that. And I appreciate your patience with me and the way that you coached me. I can't thank you enough for that, because there were times that you're like, okay, I see why you like that or why you want to do that, but did that work for you before? And you didn't say it like a dickhead. You weren't arrogant. You weren't pushy. You were just like, did that work for you before? And in all honesty, like, one of the main goals I had the whole time was, I'm going to try to put everything aside and do your program to the T the best that I can.
Which I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I sincerely appreciate the compliment you just gave me. I want to give you the compliment back of being incredibly consistent, listening and taking on board outside advice. I think we underestimate how difficult that is.
Well, it's hard too. Like, it's not easy. Like,
to trust someone else.
To trust somebody else and do workouts that, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, he's changed a lot of stuff too. Like, I mean, he's made adaptations. And if you have the conversation with him, which again, have the conversation, you know, like, I told him, like, hey, apparently the New Year's resolutions didn't wear off as early this year at the gym. Like, getting by the free weights and stuff like that is brutal most days at the gym, even at 5:30 in the morning. I had to go and load plates on machines or do pin stack machines. Mm-hmm. I just made sure that with my experience that I followed the intention of his workout to the best that I could. I didn't get hung up on, like, hey, there's no bench over here and I can't go do incline bench press with dumbbells. No, I went and found an incline machine that I could put plates on, or that I could do the pin stack on. And I still did the exercise that he was asking me to do.
Which was
albeit
perfect, by the way.
That it may have not been with dumbbells, but it was with bands, or, you know, I found a way to do it, bottom line. Like, I didn't skip on doing it. I may have had to make an alteration. And I encourage people to do that. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, do it. Like, as long as you're doing stuff and staying active, like, and I want to get back to the steps thing too, and that's where I was saying with the Jedi mind tricks, because he told me I had to have 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, which is really funny because when I started looking at it, I thought I was way more active throughout the day than I was. And even when I was being like an absolute like hound about I don't give a shit if I was walking from my desk to the printer to get something off the printer, which is about 20 feet from my desk. I maybe walked 20, 30 feet to get to that printer. I was picking up my phone, putting it in my pocket, making sure that damn thing tracked my steps. You know, no matter what, I was getting something in. And you know what? Like, that worked and was pretty accurate, but when I got this Oura Ring, I was losing a lot of steps. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, you should have something that tracks you better, because as best as you can try, you're still not going to have this on you all the time. And my life and livelihood depends on this thing, so there's not a lot of times my phone's not on me, but the variance of 1,000 to 2,000 steps is a lot, especially for your mental on doing something like this. So I just encourage you that if you're going to go down a journey, start out, yeah, you may have to do this. Don't cut yourself short. You're probably getting an extra 1,000 or 1,500 steps in easily, because there's going to be a lot of times you don't pick this up.
Yeah.
So, you know, do it. If you can afford to get you an Oura Ring, a watch, or, you know, a Fitbit or a Garmin, or, you know, whatever it is that they have, there's lots of ways to do it. Just, this is going to get old, especially to do cardio, because reality was I was in that danger zone of what he was talking about early on, where I was only getting, I mean, like, man, I mean, I almost should just, like, look and go back and, like, not even,
it was,
like,
what, like 3,000-4,000?
bullshit this, like, yeah. I mean, I was in the 2,000 to, you know.
And while Garrett's looking
and
at
even Sundays, like, Sundays typically I only get, like, 2,000. I mean, it's kind of my day of rest. I mean, nowadays I try to go to the gym still and get steps in, just because, you know, I'm pushing hard to get where I really want to be. But yeah, you go back to February, I was getting 1,000, like 1,600 to a peak of about 4,900 most days. And I want to explain. And I thought I was active. Like, yeah. And I really wasn't that active.
And I want to explain why we set the floor at 5,000. Basically, when you, like, I try to base everything off of legit science, right? It makes sense to incorporate science, since ultimately the body is a scientific machine. When you consistently are below 5,000 steps a day, it is correlated with some pretty bad health outcomes, right? When you are getting less than 5,000 steps a day, you have higher incidence of heart disease, higher incidence of diabetes, higher incidence of obesity, all of these things that we are really trying to avoid so that we don't end up in an early grave. So when you can get above 5,000, not only do you get the additional kind of calorie burn associated with just moving more, but you're also getting out of that, I love that term, danger zone of, like, if I do this often, I am literally putting myself in a position to have an early heart attack, to have an early stroke, to increase my chance of diabetes and stuff like that. So, like, just setting these daily minimums that you can hit makes life a whole lot easier. And I think, you know, one of the big transitions that people make throughout the course of a journey like this, you know, instead of being like, the gym is something that I'll only do when I have a lot of energy, like something I did the other day, like, and it might be for you too, and I know it is for John on the podcast last week, it's like the gym becomes your stress relief place. It becomes your place where like you leave feeling better than when you went in. Yeah. And the same with steps. On days where you only move 2,000 steps, like there's a couple days I work from home and I'm stuck on Zoom calls all week doing coaching calls, or all day doing coaching calls. And like, I'll look and it's like, it's 3 o'clock and I've done 2,000 steps. And I'm like, I'm ready to murder someone or throw something at a wall. Yeah. And you need that activity, that movement, just to make sure you don't go crazy. And if you've been living in a place where you're not moving, you're not exercising, once you get to the other side of that journey, once you get to the point where you're moving more, you're eating better, you'll look back and you'll be like, how the hell did I live like that? Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I want to further that. So like, I hit on most days no less than 8,000 steps. Sunday may be the exception. And that just depends. And I'm listening to the Oura Ring a lot more because it tells me, like, you know, like right now I'm about to have I might have a root canal next week. I'm fighting an infection. Ugh. My body temperature and stuff's a little bit off.
I'm a little less restful or rested than I should be. And it's telling me that my body is showing that. So even on antibiotics right now, like, you know, like it's letting me know that. So there are certain days that I am taking it a little bit easier. But even prior to that, when I realized how sedentary the majority of my life was, the first few weeks, just worry about like learning the workouts, because it sucks. And I really hated this. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, this is one of the worst parts. Sitting here on the gym, because I felt like one of these jackasses that's just like playing on their phone, taking selfies in the gym and shit like that I really can't stand. And, you know, sitting on a machine and on his phone. Well, I was sitting on here because I wanted to make sure I was doing my exercise right. And I was like looking at here because I wasn't used to the routine. Because your routine is different than anything I've ever done, because it's full body every day. It's full body. And, you know, we can go into that if you guys want. You know, I'll let Alex take the lead on that maybe in a minute. But I had to learn the routine. Once I knew what the routine was, then I didn't need my phone as much. I just had to remember to go in and plug in my sets and like do that. Or some days I didn't even worry about it. Like, if I knew I did it, then I knocked it off. Like, you know, if it's Thursday and I already did it, I didn't like go up and weigh a huge amount and like I need to worry about like knowing next time that, you know, I chest pressed 140 or, you know, whatever it was. So I marked it as complete, and, you know, I didn't become a stickler on that. And there were certain things that I mean, you and I talked about this too. Like, there's some things I never did in the program. Like, I hate to admit that. I'm telling you that live on the podcast. And it was mainly the ab exercises, because I know at my age and core, like, I'm not trying to build my abs up or my core to like where they're like protruding or anything like that. Like, I'm not a bodybuilder. I get enough core and ab activation as it is. Now, for the first few weeks, I did it with all the stretches and everything. But, you know, like, we've got this like vibrating plate and stuff like that I warm up on. I did that for 5 minutes instead of jogging for 5 minutes.
Sure.
But where I did do things that like he didn't ask me to do was, he did ask me to hit 8,000 steps a day. So when I realized what it took to get 8,000 steps, well, I got to where I knew my routine. I could go in, knock out my workout, 30 minutes, 40 minutes max. And then what I did, even if it wasn't a cardio day, because like right now it's Monday, Tuesday lift, Wednesday cardio, Thursday, Friday lift, Saturday cardio, Sunday optional for me. So what I did do and implemented, because I saw the variance there, was I was only hitting 4,000 or 5,000 steps in a day if I just went about my normal life and I lifted that day. Well, I knew that wasn't good. So at the end of my workout, I just went and walked on the treadmill. As boring as it is, I watched SportsCenter, listened to an audiobook, jammed out some tunes, whatever I was in the mood for that day. And I did no less than 20 minutes. Some days I did 45 minutes. Some days I did 30 minutes. But I just made sure I was getting those steps in so that, you know, if it ended up being a great day, shit, I may have got 10,000, 12,000 steps in. But I did that every day. And then on the cardio days, I knew at my weight and I knew my body enough to know that, like, I couldn't go jog for 30, 45 minutes straight. Like, I probably would have fucked my knees up. I probably, you know, I'd have done something. So what I did do is resort back to something I was comfortable with, and I did like a mini hits thing where I walked at 3.3 to 3.8 miles per hour. I would do that for 3 minutes, and then I would bump it up to 5 miles per hour, and I would lightly jog for 2 minutes, and then I'd turn it right back down. And I did that for 45 minutes to an hour on my cardio days. I've done that the entire 8 weeks of this program, and where it may have been, you know, jog for 30 minutes or row for 30 minutes or whatever for 30 minutes, I did that instead. I felt like that was a good compromise. Absolutely. I was getting my heart rate up. I was sweating. I was staying in a comfort zone. And now I'm probably in the second half going to do some more mixing it up, because I'm not as worried about my knees or my ankles because I've dropped 21 pounds.
Which is a hell of a difference.
21 pounds off of me is not as hard on the rest of my body now.
And I want to jump in on a couple of things you said there. So, you said, we skipped the ab stuff sometimes in the back half of the program, though, certain things were skipped. And I want to emphasize just how okay that is. Because one of the things I like to preach, I guess, is that imperfect action beats perfect inaction. All right, and I'm going to say that again. I may have said this on the
He says this a lot, like even in the program and stuff. That's why I knew I could say this and get him to say this.
It's so doing something is better than nothing. And if you set this binary standard where like I have to do exactly what Alex says, exactly how he said to do it, otherwise it's not doing it all. If you set yourself that binary standard, eventually your default setting will be, I can't do it, so I won't do it.
Well, and there was a time period too when we went from week 4 to week 5 where you changed up our workouts. One of the things, and you and I didn't have a call for 2 weeks in that time period, but you were cool with it the minute I talked to you about it, is you had goblet squats on there.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
And I'm not a fan. I'm absolutely not a fan. I'd rather do lunges. For those of you that work out, I'd rather do lunges than
which is weird, by the way.
Goblet squats.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I can't do lunges.
I'll do lunges over goblet squats. So, again, I made a decision because, like, I did it that day. It made my muscles feel weird. I was too tight in my hip flexors or something. And I felt like, hey, this just isn't for me. So all I did was he wanted me to target that muscle. I went and did something else that still achieved that. I did not do it. I didn't do his exercise, but I did the exercise for that muscle.
And that is a perfect example.
And we didn't have that conversation for 2 weeks.
No, we didn't.
And you're like, hey, man, that's cool. If you don't like that or that makes you feel weird, I definitely don't want you doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I can give you 10 other things to do. I can even give you shit to do with just your body weight that I'm perfectly happy with you doing instead of that. Like, some of this, know your own body. Like, if something doesn't feel right or you're not, maybe you don't feel like you're executing it right, just go execute what you know will still do that same body part and then have the conversation with Alex and be like, hey, bro, today I was in the gym. And, any good coach is going to help you work through that. It's not a absolutely do my program or you're not going to succeed. It's have a conversation. Like, people need to realize, like, yes, you have a program and the program works and you need to follow it as much as you humanly possibly can. But if there are little things that are hanging you up or whatever, have a conversation about it because there's a lot of options when it comes to fitness.
Absolutely. And I think what people can sometimes get hung up on is, if I'm not doing it the coach's way, then it's the wrong way. Absolutely not. Like, a coach knows what they know, but you know your body the best.
Yeah.
And if a sign of a bad coach is not being able to adapt, because there are some people that squats just don't work for.
Yeah.
You might be one of them. Typically, it's people with really long femurs, really long upper leg bones compared to their compared to other body parts. And like, biomechanically, squats are not a good idea for those people because it just doesn't feel good.
Do a leg press.
You can do like leg press, you can do lunges, you can do lateral lunges, you can do extensions, leg curls. There are so many options, and your coach should be able to adapt that around you. And I want to revisit a point, actually, Garrett, about how, why we do full body exercise inside Whiskey Weight Loss.
I think this is important too.
Compared to chest day, back and biceps, legs and shoulders, ab day. So there is nothing, I want to stress
I was
this.
the shitty client in this too because I fought him on this the whole fucking time. Just so y'all know. He can go ahead and say it. I fought him on this the absolute whole time because I was like, I'm bored with this workout. This is, you know, like, man, I really want to feel like I roasted something today. And he's like, did that work for you before? You know, like in the most polite Alex way. And I was
I'm going to say this.
Again, I stayed with it. And I was
did, and I appreciate that. Garrett was a very rewarding client, only from the notion that when I finally got him to see it my way, it was very satisfying.
Yeah.
But the reason we do full body workouts inside Whiskey Weight Loss is not because full body workouts are magic and significantly better than chest day, back day, arm day, leg day. It's more of a logistical thing. So if you have, you know, let's say you have a 5-day split, right? You have chest day, back day, shoulder day, leg day, and then like arms and abs. You could even do a 4-day split and do chest and tries, back and bis, legs, shoulders, whatever it is, right? Life happens. And I think we forget this. Kids get sick, work gets crazy, you go on vacation.
Go out of town for business.
Go out of town for business, that's a great one. It's like, okay, I'm out of town Monday, so I skip chest day. All right, that means I didn't work my chest from the Monday before to the Monday after. That's 14 days where you don't stimulate your chest muscles, right? And you can only get so much from one workout. Scientifically, it's around 8 sets per muscle group, completely maxes out the growth response for that muscle group. So if you do 4 sets of bench press and 4 sets of cable flies, doing more than that will not grow your chest anymore. Now, we don't do that. We do 3 to 4 sets per muscle group, but we do that, you know, 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week, depending on the person. So when you add that up, right, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, that is 12 sets per muscle group spaced out. To me, that is a hell of a lot better than 12 sets of chest on one day, right? Typical chest workout might be flat bench press, flat flies, incline dumbbell press, push-ups, right? That could be a typical chest day. If you space that out over the 4 days, A, you're more flexible, B, you have better recovery because you're not crying about how sore your chest is. But there's also actually an effectiveness part about this to where when you're a beginner lifter, a workout will stimulate your muscles for about 48 hours. Once you're an advanced lifter, which, you know, is more about experience level, which I definitely put Garrett in this group, really you're only getting a growth response in your muscle for about 24 hours. So if you blast the crap out of your chest on Monday, right? Your chest is singing, right? It's growing for 24 hours, maximally so. And then you get a week with no chest growth. Whereas if you do half as much volume, but you do it 4 times, then you are going to get a greater overall growth response. Now, this is a little bit nerdy, and I'm sorry if I lost anyone along the way.
No, this is crucial.
Yeah, basically doing half as much, or even a third as much as you would normally do, but doing it 3 to 4 times a week is just as good, if not better, from a muscle growth point of view. It fits better logistically, and you are still sore in the case of like, I felt my muscles work, but I'm not so sore that I can't sit down to take a shit because my legs hurt so
And then
badly.
when you realize that, like, okay, I'm back into decent shape. I still wouldn't say great shape, but like I'm back into decent shape. I didn't injure myself in 8 weeks. I didn't do anything crazy. I was never so sore that I couldn't do anything else I wanted to do in those 8 weeks. I still played golf and all these other things that I do. So that was a huge win. But I also didn't not put on huge gains. And then, lo and behold, now I'm in the next program to get me through about another 8 weeks because I'm still a little ways off from where I really wanted to be. And we're working on that. And, I did bitch about this the entire time and drive him absolutely crazy. And he had to remind me and, coach me through a lot of that. But now we're also doing drop sets. And guess what? Drop sets are kicking my ass, royally, roasting me.
What
and
is
he was
a drop set, Garrett? Explain to the people what a drop
Okay,
set
so
is.
like today I had to do incline chest presses. So I did them on the machine where you have to load plates like a bench press. So I put a 45 and a 25 on each side, knocked out, I think the first set I knocked out 12. And then I immediately took the 25s off and just had the 45s on. And I knocked out till failure, which I think the first time I got 10 or 12. Mm-hmm. Then second and third set, that drastically drops down, you know, and you find happy mediums of weight there. But like, I felt the best pump, the best, like everything in a long time. And, you know, in Alex's defense too, he also said like, okay, if you're going to keep being this dickhead and hounding me throughout this.
Not my exact phrasing, but
not as exact. He used some other more favorable English word that I wish I could remember right now. Probably called me a wanker or something, you know, but
in my head.
Yeah. And but he was like, okay, so if you really want me to, and you don't, if drop sets, he's like, let's try drop sets for a couple weeks, just see how you do on that. Because again, remember, I've also been in a weird plateau where I'm getting great measurements, weight still kind of sticking a little bit here and there, and that's just part of the thing. And mentally, he's coaching me through that. So he was like, let's do the drop sets for a couple weeks, reevaluate. But if you're still hung up on the fact that you want to roast a body part throughout the week, he's like, I'll add one exercise at the end of each one that like maybe Monday's chest, so I'll give you some crazy ass push-ups to do. And then on the next day, I'll throw, you know, dumbbell lateral raises in or something for your shoulders or, you know, whatever, and let you do one extra set just so you're still doing it. But we're still doing full body every day. And I'm really glad that he consistently coached me that, because it's really hard. That might be harder than the soda losing 4 to 7 pounds thing for me, actually, honestly, is, you know, growing up from the time I was 16 to 39, 40, I was always trying to put on weight or tone. Mm-hmm. And every trainer that I worked out with in that 20-something year span, everything was broken down into body parts. Mm-hmm. And I did that on a day-to-day basis. Not that from the beginning I haven't completely understood your logic in what you just explained to everybody, in that it's better to hit your whole body throughout the week and have continued growth. Not that that does not make complete sense and has from the beginning, but to get out of my head that I should be more sore, that I should be roasting something every day. Actually, while I'm sitting here talking about it, thinking about it, is probably harder than any of the other stuff we've talked about.
I mean, dude,
because I'm so ingrained in that, you know, before it was always, I was the super skinny guy. I mean, I didn't break 120 pounds until I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
At 6 foot tall. So like everything was about consuming calories and trying to, you know, lift as heavy as I could to put on size. That always broke down into just roasting a body part. So that's probably been a harder thing mentally for me when I actually think about it.
So that's thank you for sharing that. One of the really, I think, interesting things to pull from that is that I think this again reinforces the idea of having someone external to
coach
see the objectiveness, right? Yeah. And go through, okay, like I've been doing this thing for 20 years. By the way, is that working?
Yeah.
Because you never ask yourself that, right? You never ask if your current pattern of behavior is serving you. It's not that's a really difficult thing to self-evaluate well. Yeah. So I think having an external thing is so important. And, you know, I want to say this too, like coaches have coaches as well. And if your coach doesn't have a coach, I would maybe question them why. But like when I've wanted to make big physical transformations, I hired a coach because you need that external person. And then when I want to make big business changes, I hire a coach. We've already talked about mental health.
Yeah.
When you want to make a big mental health change, you hire a coach, you hire a counselor, a therapist, whatever it is. When you want to make a big relationship change in terms of how you both approach a relationship, often people go to counseling together. So like, I think that just reinforces it, but I appreciate you sharing like how much that was kind of deeply embedded in there. And then to jump off of that, like the physiology for any people who are kind of nerdy about this, muscle soreness is not really related to muscle growth. Muscle soreness is actually a product of your immune system. One of the old school things that I cringe when I hear, and Biz, you were really big into lifting. Tell me, did you hear the whole lactic acid causes soreness thing?
Yep.
It's not related at all. Like, not even close. And I don't know why it propagated so much, but...
Yeah, sports.
Yeah, sports. High school coaches. But basically, once you stop feeling the burning sensation in your muscle, within a very short period of time, the lactic acid has been removed from your system. All right? When do you feel soreness? 1 day, 2 days is normally when it peaks.
Yep.
When you look at the time course of those things, right? Lactic acid is gone within a few minutes of exercise being over, but you don't get sore for 1 to 2 days. That math doesn't add up. And we studied this in college, actually, both in my undergrad and my master's degree in exercise physiology. It's actually an immune response. So when you exercise, you are breaking down muscle fibers. And then your body has to go in and basically, clear the debris. If exercise is like taking a wrecking ball to your muscle, well, you've got to have a construction crew go in and clean away the crap before you can build something new. And that is all done by the immune response, and then that is what makes you feel sore. It is the immune cells or the immune system going in, clearing away the broken down muscle tissue. That process is what manifests as sore muscles. Nothing to do with lactic acid at all. So what we've basically done is over decades, we've associated feeling really sore with building muscle, and they kind of happen the same. Like if you are working hard enough to create a massive immune response, you are probably working hard enough to build muscle. But you don't have to feel sore to build muscle. They just happen together at the same time for a lot of people. And then you get the really jacked guys in the gym, right? It was a funny story. I recently signed up to Cowboys Fit Plano because it is 2 minutes away from my house. I know the old sales manager. I was able to get a good rate, and I was like, cool, Mondays and Fridays, like I work from home, like let's go work out at like 7 a.m. Within 30 minutes of me being in the gym, bear in mind, this is a brand new gym, and a guy comes up to me and is like, dude, how did you get big arms? And I'm like, you can't, this just kind of shocked me. I was like, why can't I just work out in peace? In the end, the dude was lovely. We exchanged numbers. We're probably going to meet up for like whiskey, and I'll tell him how to get jacked. But it was just this, like, you ask the jacked guy at the gym, right? That's where a lot of people get their information from. And the jacked guy at the gym was probably told by his high school coach 10 to 20 years ago that you hammer one muscle group, you make it sore, and then you get big. And we never took it one step further to be like, maybe the jacked guy at the gym got big, but not because of the things that he says he's doing. Mm-hmm. Also, he might be taking juice in the bathroom. We don't know.
That part.
Yeah, like, by the way, if you look at any Hollywood celebrity, they will never admit it, but the guys that are really jacked in the Marvel movies, 90% of them are probably on some kind of juice.
Ain't no way on God's green earth that one of my favorite dudes, The Rock, ain't roided out. If you looked at him back in the day, lean and skinny, let's not even do that. Go back to Rocky 3 and Rocky 4. You can't tell me them dudes didn't juice until
they all talked to Arnold. No one told him what's up.
There's a guy I follow called Cali Muscle, and Cali Muscle
I remember that guy.
Huge. If you look at him now, he looks like he caught the AIDS, but he's fine. He had some health problems. And I just watched him on TikTok the other night, and he says, if I was to go back in time, the one thing I would not have done was been on that juice. I would have tried to been natural with it, because of all the things that happened. If you remember the famous wrestler, who was the wrestler that had roid rage and killed his family?
Benoit.
There you go. Chris Benoit.
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
He was like my favorite wrestler as a kid.
The Ultimate Warrior. Look at all these dudes. Don't nobody get like that, stay like that if they're not juicing.
No. Dude, this is actually a fun.
But you can get where you want to get, like, and be really happy with your body without doing all that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all those guys are in industries that count on vanity and looks.
Yeah, and
that's what
he
it is.
jokes to me, like, he saw me and my wife at a chili cook-off recently, and he's like, your arm's as big as mine yet? You know, like, joking with me and stuff like if my doctor told me where I needed to be, and I'm 6 foot tall, you're an inch taller than me, would tell me I need to be around 185. They would actually tell me between 165 and 185. I would look horrible at 165.
165 is...
That's just brutal. Like, that's not right. But I've now come to the terms that, like, I'm at 220. We'll just call it 220 right now. Somewhere around 205, between 195 and 205 is going to be my happy place. And that's what we're working towards right now. And... you know, I will have Alex back on. He'll be the first three-peat. I think he's the first two-peat right now, but
dude, I'll take
he'll be the first three-peat when I get back from my trip in late May, after we finish this journey, because I'm already happy. You know, I hosted some clients and some good friends this last weekend. First time the wife and I had people over that got in the hot tub with us. And for the first time in a long time, I was not embarrassed to take my shirt off. I mean, like, it felt good. Like, I was just like, am I where I want to be? No. But you know what? I'm not ashamed or embarrassed or, you know, anything like that. So, like, I know that's coming. It keeps me motivated. I highly suggest people that you find you a coach. I mean, I've had lots of coaches. And I can honestly say, and I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings that is watching this or watches it later, Alex coaching has done more for me than any other coaching that I've ever had. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. And I truly appreciate it. I know I've been a pain in the ass. I know I've been difficult. I know I've not been easy, but you've handled it. You've handled it with grace, man, and you've been super encouraging, and you've found ways to, like, still get your point across and give a little too, and be like, hey, okay, if you really like this, then, like, fine, let me, you know, we just talked about that before I did this second program. You know, you had like a extra 30-minute call with me, you know, just out of the goodness of your heart, and, you know, just to, like, hey, all right, so what didn't you like? Like, tell me the exercise you didn't like. Tell me what other ones you really like doing, and I'll find a way to implement that into your program. And, like, we'll modify a little bit. Like, yours is not going to be the same, you know, like, we'll do that. Like, we can make it, because you do at the end of the day have to enjoy it at some point. And, you know, like, you're going to find joy as you go through the journey and the progress. Like, the journey is the fun, like, getting there and seeing it, like, waking up and taking your shirt off or not having a shirt on and, like, going in and being like, oh shit, like, I dropped a level, like, a level fell off. Like, the scale ain't saying it yet, but, like, you know, seeing those things and people telling you and encouraging you and doing things like that, like, it's super important. So, like, put good people around you, find you a good coach. Again, I'm going to say this again. Alex won't say it, but, like, I paid 3 times as much for the soda program as I paid for Alex's. I'm just saying, like, I'm doing the second program and I still haven't spent as much as I spent on the first program. Like, maybe he needs to raise his prices. I'm not going to do that to y'all and promote that. But, you know, if you guys want a good group thing that is still very personalized, where he puts you in a community of people that will uplift you, support you, help you along the journey, give you other good ideas. I mean, like, I said again, Forrest, like, that dude's a maniac making food on the weekends and, like, has a bunch of little kids and stuff. Like, I don't even have kids, and I was like, shit, how's he doing all this? Like, I'm watching his like little like feed and like looking at it like, all right, cool, I can adopt mine this. And I was like, man, I'm using too much. Like, man, I'm putting too many calories in this. So, you know, I've trimmed it down and like become more of a creature of habit where my diet stays pretty consistent now. But I still have fun. I still go out. I still entertain. I go out with clients. My wife and I entertain. I still eat real damn good. I'll tell you, pay attention to your steaks and shit. Like, Wagyu, yes, it's good. It tastes great, but probably fat-wise and caloric-wise, not your greatest choice. Eat a little more ribeye or flank steak or something else versus just having that. So I just want to throw all that out there. If you guys have questions and stuff like that, please put them in the notes. Send us your questions. Alex is available on here. Hit him up. Ask him about his program. I'm sure any of y'all that hit him up and mention this podcast, he's going to hook you up with a really good deal if you guys want to join 100%. His program. I will have him back on. We will do another show like this when I finish the next 8 weeks, and that'll show you guys a full 16-week process of doing this. And as you guys see, I'm still living my life. He's teaching me ways to make modifications within that and not be fucking miserable. So to me, that's worth everything right there. I can't even begin to explain. I mean, 2 hours I feel like there's still so much more we could have touched on and we didn't, but we'll get there. But send us your guys' questions. I am going to be gone for 2 weeks, so no podcast for 2 weeks. And if you guys heard the end of the last one, I teased about the new podcast that we're working on May 8th. Y'all tune in to Common Sense the Podcast in my live channel. We're going to be doing, Biz and I are testing out some stuff. We're going to be going live May 8th. I dropped a teaser. You finally know who the band is. It's my buddies in Mockingbird. This isn't full on everything what it's going to be, but they were gracious enough to give us their time, do a show, and we're going to have a little mini show, a podcast. We're going to drop all that May 8th, sometime starting around, I'm going to say 6:30, 6:45 Central Standard Time. You guys enjoy that. It'll be some great live music, great podcast with the band. The band members are super dope, cool people. Down to earth. Y'all will enjoy rapping with them. And then May 9th, we'll be back with a vengeance and doing this. I'm not going to say that. Let me see here. Because next week, if I have that root canal, I'm not going live. I'm not talking. Y'all don't want to hear me talk drugged up. I'll probably just go berserk and talk all kinds of crazy shit. But May 9th, we'll be back live. May the 2nd, I'm going to be traveling, but I will be in Kentucky. I may go live for a little bit. I have a client I'm going to be visiting, and he likes to talk, and him and I like to drink bourbon. It's likely you guys might get a random live podcast, but no promises. But, Alex, thank you so much, my friend. I can't thank you enough for what you've helped me do and get back on this journey. And I look forward to what else is coming, man.
Hell yeah, man. This has been such a blast to go through this with you. This podcast has been so much fun. I can't thank you enough for having me on and just exploring the journey with you. And, you know, when our professional relationship ends, I'm really excited to continue our personal relationship. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to see what you guys do with this podcast and keep it running.
Absolutely. So, y'all, give Whiskey Weight Loss a shot. Hit my boy up. Talk to him. He'll hook you up. I mean, y'all, go look at the pictures. I mean, 21 pounds, 5 inches off your waist. That's like at least a jean size or two down. So, I mean, like, I'm getting to wear old jeans that were like my favorite jeans that I now get to bring out of the closet again. Like, they're awesome. It's greatness. T-shirts fit way better. It's fun being able to get into a large and not an extra large. Just saying. So hit him up. Take a look at it. I thank every one of you for listening and following the podcast. Give it a like, share if you guys enjoyed this. And until May 8th, y'all have a good one. Be safe out there.